My name is Ray Watring, and I'm the Vice President of the Alumni Association's Play Committee. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few individuals in the crowd. Director of Athletics, Brad Edwards, our fantastic wrestling coaching staff, Frank Beasley, Cam Eppert, and Mike DePalma. Interim Associate VP of Alumni Relations, Jen Robinson. Members of our Alumni Association Board, President Sumit Srivastav, President-elect Christine Landahl, and Directors at Large, Darcy Kim, and of course, Whitney Ward. I'd also like to welcome all alumni athletes in attendance, especially our fantastic panelists. I'd also like to thank Leanne Bouchard and Japrince Carter, along with the rest of the Alumni Association staff, and Greg Kennedy and Zach Bolno, along with the athletics staff, for making this exciting collaboration happen. With that, I would like to introduce Greg Kennedy, Director of Athletics Annual Fund for the Patriot Club, to get us started. Take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Ray. It's great to be here. As he mentioned, I'm the Director of the Athletics Annual Fund with the Patriot Club, and I'm able to work with all of our current student athletes on a regular basis, and we're really excited to have some alumni athletes on tonight to share their stories and how Mason helped, form their careers and what they've done to be successful, and to hear those stories. And we have a lot of donors that are logged in on the call, and these individuals are great examples of what you've helped throughout the years through your scholarship donations and support. These are the success stories that come from Mason Athletics. And on behalf of our department, Brad Edwards, our Director of Athletics, we want to thank everyone for getting on board tonight. Just a few things. Our chat feature will be open, and we encourage our audience members to connect through there and introduce yourself, share your name, maybe your graduation year from Mason, and where you're joining us from. And throughout the evening, if you have questions for the panelists, please, write the questions in there, and then we'll have time at the end to ask audience questions. But for tonight, I'd like to introduce your host, Whitney Ward. Whitney is an at-large director for the George Mason University Alumni Association, graduated with a BA in communications from Mason, and was a member of the women's basketball program. Whitney is the founder and chief executive officer at Intuitive Management Partners. As CEO, she identifies and defines overall company growth initiatives and business development for IMP.
Thank you, Greg. First, I want to do a sound check. Can everyone hear me? Just thumbs up if you can. Great. All right, so I had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm on an entirely different computer, but I'm excited tonight. We have 4 outstanding panelists. I actually followed a lot of them during their careers at Mason. They were great athletes, and with the great world of technology and social media now, even though we don't see each other and it's been like 10, 12 years, we can still keep connected. So without any further ado, I'm excited for tonight's virtual event. The purpose of tonight's event expands beyond the title. Each of our panelists graduated during or around the last Great Recession and have a unique perspective on the challenges and hurdles they have had to overcome to get to where they are more than a decade later. This discussion can relate to all of us. Whether you are a current student or student athlete, or maybe you are a coach or alumni, it really doesn't matter. I hope that each of us can take something away from this event to help you achieve your goals and implement strategies that can help you overcome obstacles. We also hope to bring a positive message that might expand the network for both current students and alumni. So let's go ahead and meet our alumni panelists. Tonight we have 4 alumni athletes. Like I said earlier, each graduated in the 2006 through 2009 era. Our panelists consist of a current professional athlete, a retired professional athlete, and 2 entrepreneurs that are achieving business growth year over year. Tonight we have Jonathan Barajo, men's soccer, Ali Krisman, women's soccer, Jimmy Martin, wrestling, and Will Thomas, men's basketball. Now, panelists, let's go around the room and introduce yourselves. Let's start with Jimmy Martin. Tell us what year you graduated, what your major was, what you do now, and your favorite Mason memory. Audience, before Jimmy goes, we encourage you to use the chat feature and share with us your favorite Mason memory as well.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Jimmy. I was gonna wear my wrestling singlet from Mason, but it doesn't fit anymore. So this hoodie will do. But bad jokes aside, I graduated in 2007. I was a student athlete, member of the men's wrestling team. And my favorite memory of Mason, aside from all the sketches and stuff that we did at the beginning of the year, which I really focus, we as the men's wrestling team focused primarily most of our attention on. There was nothing better than being part of the Cinderella team magic that happened when Will and the gang were part of the sort of that era. So that was a lot of fun, and that was definitely the standout memory.
That's awesome. That was some good times. Jonathan actually is Jonathan Barajo. Okay, I mispronounced his name and I called him right before this Zoom to get it right. So Jonathan, please forgive me. But go ahead, introduce yourself.
No worries at all. And I have to apologize. My 4.5-month-old daughter, she decided to start chit-chatting in the other room right now. So if you hear a crying baby, it's her. But first off, just wanted to thank you, Whitney and your staff and everybody for putting this together tonight. And secondly, I hope everyone's families are staying safe and doing well, during these unprecedented times that we're in right now. And it's great to see a lot of old faces, from back at school. So, I graduated in 2009. Major was accounting. I currently work in wealth management out of, in Midtown Manhattan. I'm also the co-founder and owner of Soccer Shape. It's a fitness boot camp with a soccer twist. It's, Miami and New York's first and only soccer-inspired fitness class. And favorite Mason memory. So I'm going to cheat here. I have kind of three. Graduating was one. Just I was the first college graduate in my family, so it was really important, for my family when that happened. Winning the CAA tournament in 2008, and a big theme of mine, which I'll be speaking about, throughout the night, was just the friendships that I created, when I was at Mason. Just incredible friendships with, classmates, teammates, that I still have, over a decade now, that I still have today.
Nice. I definitely, we all had some really good memories there, especially with meeting some awesome people. Allie, go ahead, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allie. Thank you for having me. I wish we had this when I was in college, but so nice to be here. I'm Allie. I graduated in 2008. I was on the women's soccer team, and I currently, I own a soccer training company that I started in 2010, and I am now also the director of coaching for the official Juventus Soccer Academy in the DC metro area. My favorite memory, I have a few. I mean, one of them is just honestly being like the athletes at Mason were so close. Everything we did was together. We all had a true bond. I mean, all the panelists here are, I have great memories with them, but definitely have to piggyback off of Johnny and say that the Final Four and that memory was something special. I remember going to the game. Willie was there playing against UConn. We went to DC, a bunch of me and my teammates, and it was awesome. So probably one of my top favorite memories.
Yeah, no, definitely the Final Four, I think for all of us was like insane, especially for the campus. It like changed from being more of a off-campus commuter school to like parties on campus and everything. So anyway, that brings us to Will Thomas. Go ahead. Take the mic.
Hi, everybody. Will Thomas. I'm happy to join y'all tonight. It's later for me because I'm in St. Petersburg, Russia. I'm currently still playing basketball. I'm in my 13th season. I graduated from George Mason in 2008. I majored in sports management. And I guess my greatest memory of George Mason is with all y'all in the Final Four run. To actually be a part of it, it was great.
Yeah, that was definitely a good time. I'm going to share my Mason memory. There's been a ton of them, but Final Four, of course, #1, but also like that same preseason time, Mason Madness, we got to select our personal songs that we ran out to. So I selected Fat Joe, Lean Back. And until this day, when that song comes on, I think about that year. So it kind of ties into the same thing. So let's see, did anybody share in the chat what their favorite Mason memory is real quick? I don't know if we have anybody follow in the chat. Okay, maybe not. All right, so let's move into the questions. This is the meat and potatoes of the presentation. I'm going to ask some questions directly to panelists. I'll also ask the entire group certain questions, and then I will ask pairs selective questions. So without any further ado, the first question for the entire group is, what are some of the things that you're doing to keep positive during this pandemic and current social climate? I'll let whoever wants to go first answer that one.
I'll start. So I have 2 young kids, 4.5-year-old and 9-month-old. So things can get pretty crazy. And honestly, for me, my biggest thing to keep me positive is exercising. I mean, I think that was instilled in me in such a young age. And for me, that keeps me in a healthy space and a positive space. And I get my 4.5-year-old, she does it with me. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that's helped me through this.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I would agree with Ali as well. The silver lining for me was that, the birth of my daughter, 4.5 months ago. So, I was able to fortunately, be in a work from home environment where I typically wouldn't have been around as much. It's really nice, to be able to wake up, with her and be able to put her down at night is really, really nice and special moment, for my wife and I. But I would say how I've taken this time, really, I spend a lot of time self-educating, reading a lot, in the industry that I'm in, just human kind of behavioral finance, behavioral, when it comes to human psychology, just kind of interests me. Something that I didn't study in school, but just kind of self-educating with this extra time that we have. And again, for work, just continued education, getting designations, just better equipping myself so I can better serve, my clients and add more value to them.
That's awesome. Will, go ahead. Tell us what you're doing. I'm sure you're playing a lot of basketball, but.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing I can do. Over here in Russia, it's not too much better than America. Just going to practice every day, trying to get better, even at an older age. That's about it. And keeping the news, keeping myself from watching the news, because there's a lot of other things going on besides the pandemic that's very negative. And keeping that out of my mind while I'm over here by myself is very important. So just playing basketball every day, trying to eat well, trying to think about just positive things like my kids and my other family members is what I do.
No, it's definitely tough. And with the pandemic on top of everything, it's definitely forced us to figure it out in a mindset standpoint. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So Jimmy.
Yeah, so I actually didn't answer your first question and said what my major was and what I currently do. So it's like the mystery question. So just briefly before talking about how I've been handling the pandemic. I've majored in communication and I had a minor in business administration. And I'm currently the co-founder of Burn, which is the world's first and only cool temperature fitness experience. So going into how I'm handling the pandemic, I echo what everybody else said with exercise. I mean, I think most of us are doing it for mental health first. And I think that's the best starting point for people who are at home right now, and just spending time with family, reading. I was fortunate. I actually wrote a copy for this one guy who created the gibberish app. So that filter that you saw on Instagram, I wrote like 400 of those like really stupid, silly things. And that like occupied a lot of my time. So that was a lot of fun. So if you wasted your time doing that, sorry, but not sorry. But yeah, so a combination of exercise, spending time with family, reading, and doing silly things.
I mean, you have to do a combination of all that. I mean, you have to have fun doing stuff, anything right now. All right, so I'm going to transition. I'm using my cheat sheet a little bit, but I'm going to transition into some questions that we're going to ask in pairs. The next questions are for Allie and Jimmy. We're going to talk a little bit about, it's been 10, 12 years since your transition from college, Division I athlete to now professional career, family, etc. So talk to us a little bit about that transition from Division I athlete at Mason to building a professional career. What were some of your challenges and how did you overcome them? And what would you have done differently? Either one, Jimmy or
Allie. I love following Allie's lead. So Allie, please.
My husband says the same thing. Smart guy. So I think I missed this part in your first question, but I majored in psychology and I loved it. I took a class in high school and that's what made me want to pursue that in college. So I absolutely loved my major, but honestly had no idea what I wanted to do after college. I started training for a soccer company based in Virginia. I think it was like my sophomore year, and fell into just coaching kids, built my way up to be a head coach there and running summer camps. And I really loved it, but I love psychology. Ended up graduating, and I'll be honest, I was nervous. I was anxious. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew my whole life was playing soccer since I was 5. So for that to come to an end, you, for a second, feel like you're going to lose a big part of yourself. And that was the hardest part for me, was coming out of college with no clue what I wanted to do and no, resources at that time to figure it out. I continued, I live in Maryland, that's where I'm from. So I moved back to Maryland. I kept traveling to Virginia to coach, and it was hard. It was like an hour back and forth. Then I took on another soccer training job in Maryland. So I was working for some different companies, but just didn't know how to make that a decent living out of that and create a family doing that. So honestly, if it wasn't for my parents to encourage me to start my own company, I probably would not have done it without them. But I started, and I'll be honest, I never took a business class. So to me, starting my own company, it didn't seem like an option. But all I knew was, from playing sports my whole life, I'm not afraid of a challenge. I'm not afraid to work hard. And I had to learn a lot on my own. I faced a lot of challenges from the beginning. How do I LLC? Who does my accounting? How do I even start a website? I honestly knew nothing, but I figured it out. I used some old mentors, some old coaches that played a big part in my life, who helped guide me. The old company that I worked for, that owner helped me. My uncle has his own company. So I used those resources, and it wasn't easy. But I don't think I would have done anything differently. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and the first few years, were rough, but you just have to push through those moments, and you will learn so much about yourself, so much about business, by making those mistakes, by learning on your own. So yes, that's
No,
what-
that's awesome, Allie. I think that's really inspiring. That entire, climb into the top is just like sports, but beyond that, it's just persevering. I really respect that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Jimmy, go ahead. Let's hear your
I
story.
now regret that because it's going to be very hard to follow. But anyway, so I want to state this out loud because I believe she's also on on Zoom. I would not be where I am today without the help of Nina Rogers. Nina Rogers is a mentor, a friend, and someone I continuously look up to from afar. She gave me my first job working alongside her and helping with SAC after college. And she really helped me give myself permission to pursue my dreams here in New York. So I came to New York in 2009. So for 2 years, I was like working alongside Nina, bugging her, but also helping her so I can figure myself out. Because I too didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I had gotten a job acting in a regional theater show after school and thought, oh, I'm going to be an actor in New York and use my college education maybe. And so I moved in 2009 with that pursuit, specifically to work in like late night television, and got caught up in improv and sketch comedy at the Upright Citizens Brigade, got work as a greeting card writer, a copywriter for an ad agency, a bunch of like freelance jobs that got me closer and closer to the writer's room. And then I eventually got employed by Saturday Night Live, first as a background performer and then working my way up to like a writer's assistant. But all the while doing personal training and private training on the side to help pay the bill. So I never really had a full-time job, which is a little scary. And it took me about 11 years to sort of become, the entrepreneur that I am today. But what really prompted, all of these learnings of like doing a bunch of different jobs, was I was actually married to a former student athlete. Her name was Limarie Concepcion. We got married, became Limarie Martin, and she had passed away from cancer in 2014. I lost her at 29, and there's actually a boat that's named after her that the rowing team uses today. So it was in that like I shifted my focus towards health and wellness full time in 2014. Now seeing that how important of a platform health and wellness is for people to live healthier lives. And so the pursuit to start a business started there. It was inspired back in college when I was a part of took an entrepreneurship class, and we won that entrepreneurship competition. And that sort of made me think, oh, this might be a really interesting skill set to want to work on. So in that pivot, I just went full in and helped to start our business in 2018. But, if I'm looking back at like what I could do differently, I think it's making the choice to do the thing that other people aren't doing. I was really afraid to take that chance, but I was lucky to surround myself with people like Nina and, have a good family to have conversations with about, do I take that first step? I mean, sure, I could have saved myself 2 years time to just have gone to New York and figured it out. But, I'm super grateful that I've had the Mason community alongside me, and both in good times and bad. And it really allowed me to get to where I am today. So I'm extremely grateful. And as you know, with fitness, I'm a gym owner in New York City, and we had to close down and pivot to at home right now. And it's not easy, but there was a lot of learnings in that through loss that is helping me sort of get through, day by day today.
That's awesome, Jimmy. And, it's crazy. There was one point in time, I feel like you were on like keto, where you had like 0% body fat.
That's right. Yes.
Keto? Okay. I thought so.
I was when you are a out of work actor and you're passing out newspapers and doing nude art modeling part-time, you can, you basically have a lot of time to work on your body. So yeah, I was working out pretty obsessively, but now having responsibility, all that weight had come back. But yeah, at one time I was, I was pretty about as thin as a little bit thinner than what I was when I was cutting weight for wrestling.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So, before I go into the next question, I think if there's any students or student athletes on this call, really listen to what everyone's saying here. I think one of the key things you can get from this is finding some coaches and mentors and family members to support you in your journey, but then also not being afraid to take risks and understand that this whole entire process is going to be another journey. I think you kind of get misled when you're in college. You think, okay, I'm gonna get this degree and I'm gonna come out and then I'm just gonna have this fancy job where I make 6 figures and have a big house. And the reality is, yeah, maybe you'll get something like that, but there's still that work ethic that never stops. And so that's what I would take away. So moving into the next question, this is still for Jimmy and Allie. What are some of the strategies that a recent graduate or upcoming graduate can do to make themselves more marketable in the job market? And I would like to, before you go ahead, I'm sorry, I want to emphasize the fact that, keep in mind, we're in this COVID era. So like you're in this hybrid virtual world. So things are a little bit different than what they were even when we came out, where we could still network, even though there was a great, recession going on, a financial crisis. We could still meet and network and things of that sort. So tell us what you think, someone should do in this current climate.
Well, I think that people today have more access to information than ever before. So you have resources at your fingertips, literally, and it's just a matter of how you want to maximize your time, right? It's really easy to be affected by what's going on and to be halted by the pain of not knowing what's going to come tomorrow. But as it pertains to, what to do now, if you're someone that's looking to start a business, because I can only speak from my vantage point, if you're looking to start a business, really think about creating something that earns people's trust and attention. For me with Burn, I saw a void in the market for people changing the workout environment, and rather focusing on just, what you do in that box. So I decided to try to get people to warm up to the idea of working out in 50 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 minutes. And it came with a lot of struggles, but I knew that I wanted to create an environment that prompted people to move better. So my whole thing was trying to create a platform that felt inclusive and felt like it had a good mission behind it. Right now, I think if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, really, the best thing you can do is to be the biggest critic of your best idea. So if you have an idea to start something, there's no better time than now. I mean, everybody's starting on the ground floor right now. So poke holes at it and try to, connect yourself with people who are as hungry as you are. They're only going to make you better.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Jimmy, and I'm a huge believer in making as many connections as you can and keeping strong relationships with everyone you meet. I can't tell you how many people that I've come across that were part of, my past that I have now had to come back to and ask them for advice or help. And so that is a huge belief of mine. So just continuing to make strong connections. I know, some of us may be inside more than out, but like Jimmy said, we have now this awesome opportunity to use social media, to use different platforms that weren't as available to us when we were in college. So even though you can't be in person, there's still ways like what we're doing now to connect. We didn't have this for ourselves. I don't remember attending any kind of events, from past athletes or past alumni to help guide me in the future. So using resources like this, and again, I agree with Jimmy, is figuring out what makes you you, or what inspires you, and making sure that you hold true to your values, and that it's for a good purpose. When you want to do good for others, and build that sense of community, I think that helps you be more relatable, which in turn makes you more marketable. So I think those are important questions to ask. How can you build a community, and what does it mean to be a strong community that people trust you and want to come back to you?
Now, you guys are providing, we should be paying you for these things, for these nuggets, huh? But I would piggyback on that and just say there's, when you talk, there's all these virtual opportunities, creating something through social media. I think, even if you're a junior, senior right now, or a recent grad, being able to leverage LinkedIn it's incredibly powerful. I mean, just starting a resume on LinkedIn, making connections with the 4 panelists we have today could just be your start into, catapult that connection. So thank you, Allie and Jimmy.
Actually, one more thing I totally missed. I don't mean to jump all over, but hustle has currency. And don't be afraid to do stuff for free. Like, it's going to pay dividends down the line. I was so afraid to oh, my time is valuable. It is valuable, but if you want to get people's attention to help employ you one day, reach out to them, DM them, say, and offer your services, because then they're going to remember that you're again, hustle minded. And when it is time to sort of hire somebody, you'll be at the top of the list. So, making those connections, being bold, not being afraid to have those conversations, to send messages on LinkedIn or to DM, what have you. I mean, people, again, access to information, it's never been better. So don't be afraid to do things for free because that will pay dividends in the long run.
Definitely. All right, so let's move into our other 2 panelists. Both of these individuals, like I mentioned earlier, they play professional sports, or one is currently still playing. One is retired. So now we're going to shift this, because I know we have some athletes that might be listening that might be looking into going in the professional level, and that transition is something unique and very different. And I'm excited to hear from Jonathan and Will about their transition. So first, with both of you pursuing professional sports careers after Mason, can you describe the transition from playing a Division I sport at Mason, then now going into playing professional sports? And I mean, the first question I would just say, and it's pretty easy, is what did you enjoy most about that transition?
All right, I'll go first. I guess it's just not really knowing what's going to happen. You try to, for me, I was trying to figure it out, but I didn't know that many players that played overseas, except for maybe the like Ja, Tony, and Lamar, who's on the Final Four team. I didn't really lean on them to find out information about overseas, but I kind of knew. And I guess going into it, you kind of lean even more on your agent. And if you don't have the right agent, they'll tell you whatever you want to hear. And I guess the transition is kind of hard, but it's more off the court for me. It was more off the court for me, because I'm going into a different culture. I'm going to the other side of the world by myself. I have to just learn so many different things, and it makes you grow up very quick. Because in college, you have meal plans, you have the coaching staff and the academic staff. They set up your entire schedule throughout the semesters, throughout the seasons. And when you come over here, it's just basically the team hands you your car keys, your apartment keys, and they tell you when the practices or the games are. And the rest of the time is you can do whatever you want. And trying to find things to do within that time period is very hard when you first out of college, because you're still in that mindset that I have to go to study hall, I have to go to class, I have to go eat at this time, or I won't eat until I get back in my room, in my dorm room, 10 o'clock at night. And over here is just, they give you a time, like 11 o'clock is practice, 11 to 1:30. And then from 2 o'clock until the next day, you have free. In college, I think when you're in college and you want to pursue a professional career in sports, you should start thinking about things that you want to do outside of sports, because you'll have a lot of time over here to do that.
That's interesting. And I forgot to tell you, thank you for hopping on, because isn't it like 1 or 2 in the morning there in Russia?
Yeah, almost one.
Almost one. Well, thank you. Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, well, you're transitioning into the professional world. So similar to what Allie and Jimmy said, it's like now it's time for you to figure it out. Like you still know that you're playing the sport, but as far as anything outside of that, that's sort of your responsibility to kind of figure out. So that's what it sounds like. Do I have it? Did I?
Yeah, yeah. It's just that you have so much time that you don't know what to do with it. Once you figure out what you want to do with outside of the sport you're playing, you kind of you can focus your time in on that while you're not playing.
Gotcha. Jonathan, I'd be interested to hear your feedback. I know you played professional soccer overseas and here in the United States. I mean, that transition, from college to professional, I mean, what did you enjoy most and what was most challenging?
Yeah, so I'll piggyback a lot of what Will said. So I'll talk a little bit about, I'm going to cheat here because I know the questions to come. I'm going to talk a little bit about the transition and then touch on agents and then, just bringing it all together on, just preparing for the transition, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So, okay, first, right? Somebody walks up to you and thinks that you're good enough to kick around a ball, after school where they're going to pay you. And it didn't hit me till later on, almost in the 9th year of my career. I was very fortunate to play for an Italian World Cup winner and all the accolades you could ever want, very big European player. He told me, somebody's paying you to kick a ball. Think about that. What better job, right? It's the best job in the world. It was, I mean, Will can probably attest to it. It's sure there's highs, there's lows, but you are doing something that you absolutely love. Like, through and through. Soccer was my hobby, my passion, my job, my love, everything. So for somebody to walk up to me, after my, Mason career, it was kind of, losing that last game, right? In the NCAA tournament, and you're at your bottom right there, your college career is done. And then somebody's walking up to you, 30 seconds or whatever, not for all the compliance people on the line, however soon after, and they're telling you, have you ever thought about playing after school? Sure, yeah, I thought about it, but then it becomes a real thing. So luckily, back to what Ali and Jim were saying, mentors, right? Greg and Julius for me was one of the biggest, if not biggest, role model mentor in my whole career, and still to this day. So I leveraged, him and really leaned on him for advice and guidance. So yeah, the transition, right? I was a college student by night, and I was a professional soccer player by day. So I was still in school, but I was a pro in the morning. So yeah, the day was packed while I was still in school, needless to say. So that was like, my transition was pretty quick, right? I went from playing, fall sport to that January, I was in preseason, and, I was doing my last semester at school. So I guess what's good about us as athletes, what I will say, and then I don't want to go too on here and hog the time, but what I will say is because of the discipline that we're, kind of have to play a Division I sport, and the hard work, right, that you have to put in. For me, those are table stakes for really pretty much anything in life, right? Hard work and discipline is like, it's a bare minimum for me. When somebody tells me, oh, he's a good player, he works hard. No, that's the bare minimum that of course he works hard. He's a professional athlete, right? Or he's a Division I player. So for me, that's a bare minimum. And I'll get more into that as we go later on. But yeah, my transition was very luckily for me. I was very fortunate that, a team, came to me, and, I had Greg Andrews to help me out throughout the process. As far as agents go, this is like the wild, wild west. This is a whole different seminar on agents. But what I will say is I think you should leverage again and talk and really speak to all of your mentors and trusted friends and advisors and people. And I think that's what Jimmy and Al were talking about. Surround yourself with really great people and having kind of this community of people around you that you could lean on and, you know, ask trusted questions where you'll get honest feedback. Because as a young kid, you don't know, you know, there's so much that you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And it's okay, right? But asking questions is very important, and asking the right people, you know, the right questions, or just questions in general. So I just think definitely when it comes to agents, you're always reaching out and getting references and resources, because if they're not good, eventually the news will come out. The basketball world, I'm sure, is smaller than you think. The soccer world is, you know, much, much smaller than everybody thinks. So I think just reaching out and asking, you know, people, you know, what was your experience like? Everyone's going to have different experiences with different agents. If you make them more money, of course, you're going to have a better experience. If you don't make them that much money, they might not like you as much. It's just the fact of the matter. And I'll touch on, you know, professional sports being a business. And that's what a lot of college, you know, athletes don't understand. We could get to that later. I know that's coming up. And last, actually it's here. The last thing I would say, the transition, it's a job. Right now, Will is in his 13th season overseas in St. Petersburg, right? Imagine if you're a rookie or you're a senior player coming out of school and you're about to be a rookie and you're trying to take Will's job. You think Will will be nice to you, but maybe he not show you all the types of ropes, because then his job's in jeopardy and then he can't put food on the table for his family and his kids. Same thing with me. When I first got to Europe, oh, the Yank is here. That means one of us are going to lose our spot or our job or our pay, right? Oh, I only have 1 year left in my contract, and now they're bringing in this young guy. That means that. So I learned real fast that when I was on tryouts, and I don't mean to get dark and gloom here, but this is the real thing. You know, I was there to make friends at first. Oh, you know, I was training in Germany, I was in France, I was in Spain, you know, meeting all different types of people, which was phenomenal. And I still have friendships all over the world. But you're going there for a job first. You're there to make friends second, right? If you make friends along the way, fantastic. But know that when you're transitioning from playing college sports to a professional career, it's very much a job, right? And you have to, I think, have that in mind as a young athlete. And it's difficult because you don't know, again. But, you know, I could speak more to that, you know, with anyone offline and what that transition kind of looks like, and so on and so forth. Again, I don't want to take too much time.
Jonathan, you're awesome. We'll have everybody be able to get in touch with whoever wants to give their contact information. Will, so Jonathan already answered a little bit of the questions from his perspective when it pertains to agents. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, how to pick a good agent? Because I mean, I didn't play professional, but I mean, all athletes have seen the scary stories of the bad agent who is just looking to take your money, and if you're not good enough, he or she is not great. So, what would you say are some good characteristics of an agent? What are some bad characteristics of some agents? And what would you recommend, or what kind of advice would you give an athlete right now in their senior year looking to play pro next year?
There's not really too many bad or good characteristics. It's more about your relationship with the agent. The longer you stay with the agent and y'all have a stronger relationship and y'all on the same page, it's less likely that something bad is going to happen. Because if you're just going in there with the mindset that I need him to get me a job, and as soon as he doesn't do what I want, or I don't get what I'm looking for, and I just want to fire him, then you're going in with the wrong mindset. Your mindset has to be to have a good relationship with him and build that trust to where you have the same mindset. Like if you go in there with the mindset that I'm going to the NBA, and he has the mindset that you're a lower level European player, you belong in a lower level European, then when that NBA offer doesn't come in, you're going to be ready to fire him. But if you're a lower level European player, that's the offers you're going to get. And a lot of young players don't understand that. But as you get older and your career goes on, and you have, as an American, you have to build your career up over here. You don't come in playing for Barcelona or Madrid. You got to start at the very bottom and work your way up. And some players just don't understand that. They don't want to, I guess, put that work in, and it hurts the relationship that you have with your agents. And then also what John said is that the agents, sometimes when you're the highest paid client they got, they treat you a little different. And then when you're the lowest paid, you don't get called back, or they ignore your calls. They don't answer your emails. So, I mean, there's so many things that can happen. You just have to see it, learn from it, and hopefully it works out for you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I think that's really good feedback. And I'm going to wrap this up. I have so many more questions to ask. Like, I want to know how you kept your body in shape for 13 seasons in the professional level. And Jonathan, I want to hear more about that transition from, into retirement, but we don't have enough time. So I'm going to end it with this. Let's add 5 to 10 years on where you're at right now. What's next for each of you? And if you could just tell us in like a minute, 30 seconds to a minute.
For me, it's going to be retirement. I don't know how many more years I have, maybe 2 or 3, depending on how the pandemic goes. If it stays on this path, this might be my last season, because of the way the market works over here. It may not even be worth coming back over. Hopefully I'm doing real estate investments and different things like that. So hopefully I'll jump into real estate.
Well, just call me. Your girl's in real estate.
Yes, I will.
Allie, what's going on 5 to 10 years from now? Your kids will be older. They might be in middle school or high school, but.
Yeah, gosh, that's crazy to think about. Hopefully my daughter will take over. My daughters will both take over the companies one day. But no, I want to continue, as a director. I think one of the best decisions I made last year was when I partnered my training company with this soccer academy. So I hope to continue to be a director here and to be able to help continue to grow the club into different regions, because we do have a whole DC metro area, and help guide other coaches into leadership roles. I love to help teach the other newer coaches to get to that next level. I want to be able to travel to different academies. I was supposed to be in Italy this year, but I had my second daughter. So my co-director was there right before the pandemic, actually came back from Italy the day that the news broke out. But I was supposed to be there this year, so I hope to be able to go there and learn from the best of the best, and be able to share those experiences with different academies, and to teach, community building strategies and the psychology of the game and leadership skills to other clubs around the country. And yeah, that's what my future looks like. And obviously I am a mom, so balancing that with, watching my kids get bigger and guide them to be leaders in whatever they choose to do. So
that's cool.
That's 10 years.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And Jimmy, Jonathan, real quick there. I know we had the 6 o'clock hour, so.
Do your thing. Go ahead, man. You could, I'll finish off.
Okay, so professionally, I hope to still be doing what I'm doing today, but just at a greater scale, be able to expand my business's reach globally, both with the licensing and selling off the brick and mortar concept, and continue to expand our burn at home concept with our slide board sort of classes that we teach online right now. But personally, I hope to be able to have a family one day, and to just be the type of leader that to them that I had with my upbringing with my parents, and hope to be back in Nina Rogers' office one day if she'll have me. So that would be a cool thing. But all jokes aside, being able to be there for others the way that they were there for me, to continue to empower people to ideate, to have them realize that winning builds confidence and losing builds character, and to lose often so you know the value of a win. So,
Jonathan, take us home.
I read something the other day. Quick quote. It was just, you can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And I think, a lot of what we touched on tonight is, there's a big community of athletes and alumni here who are willing and able to help. So for myself, it's to keep building my, wealth management practice, and, but main, passion really is just helping other soccer players or athletes, George Mason alumni in whatever way we can. And, for the, students or student athletes that are listening into this, I think just start having as many conversations with as many people as you can and knocking on as many doors. And I think you could pull something away from each conversation. And you never know where that might lead to in the future. So I think just, keeping in touch, having conversations with people, keep craving advice, keep craving, education. Knowledge is power. Really appreciate you putting this on to get, for us, and, look forward to another one in the near future. And again, any way we could all be of help, feel free to reach out to us, and happy to continue the conversation.
Well, I'm gonna hold you to that, because this turned out to be exactly what I wanted and more. So thank you guys. I am passing this on to Greg. There probably will be a part 2. So you've spoken into fruition. Greg, I will hand it off to you, and you can take us home.
All right, thanks, Whitney. Just want to thank everyone for being on, and the Alumni Association for really putting together this event. Ray and Whitney, you were a big driving force in this. I don't think it could have gone any better. Thank you to Jonathan, Will, Jimmy, and Allie for being on and sharing your stories, and just some very powerful words and great insight into what things have been like for you guys. And it's certainly your role models for our current student athletes. And just thank you very much, everyone, for being on. And have a great night. Stay in touch with us. Email the Patriot Club, Mason Athletics, or the Alumni Association if you can. And we'd love to interact with you. So thank you very much for being on.
thank you, everybody. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you all
Thank you.
again. And
Thank you for having me.
Greg. And I'm going to turn it over to Prince Carter with the alumni staff to run the giveaway now. Thank you.
So before our alumni athletes leave, I'd love for all of us, if you can, to just turn your cameras on. If you are unable to turn your cameras on, to go ahead and request that access so that we can turn the cameras on for you. We would love to applaud our alumni athletes for, one, taking the time out to share their experiences, both from the student perspective to now their success as an alumni athlete. One of the things that we do in our staff meetings, we don't clap because that creates probably some crazy noises on the Zoom, but we do jazz hands, right? So if we all could turn on our cameras and just applaud our great audience, our great alumni athletes at this time, I just think you all did a phenomenal job. Our host, our athletic department, just everyone who had a hand in and involved in this opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you to our athletic director, who also was on as well, our associate director of athletics as well. Thank you all. This has been a very a team effort.